Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. How you doing? I'm Rich. Today's video is going to be the first in a series that I'm calling Linux Basics. So it's going to be a series of videos all about the basics on Linux, and this one's Introduction to Linux. So we're going to be going through a little bit about what is Linux, or a bit of a deep dive into, well, not so much of a deep dive, but a bit of a dive into what Linux is, different variations of Linux, and what it looks like. In coming videos, we will have a dive into the command line, running commands and arguments, and give you a ton of basic commands to get you going and moving on with that. So without further ado, let's get into what is Linux. So Linux, in its overall capacity, is basically referred to as an operating system based on the Unix code, and it comes in many flavors, and we'll go through flavors in a bit and what we mean by flavors. And it's mostly a free and open source operating system, and I say mostly free. There are paid versions. The likes of Red Hat is an enterprise version, and we'll have a look at Red Hat in a bit. But the idea of it being open source is you can go in and download the Linux kernel and you can start developing it yourself. If you were a developer, you could build your own version of Linux. Take you a little bit, but you know, with a lot of these, there's teams of people working on it, and you know, that's why there's so many different variations and versions of Linux. Linux is very lightweight, and that's one of the big points about Linux is it's really lightweight and far lighter weight than Windows. So if you had an old machine that is really struggling to run Windows, Linux is an ideal replacement because it'll do twice as good with using those resources as the likes of Windows. It's highly customizable and it's found everywhere. Your routers, your home routers, they're based on Linux. Yeah, it's a stripped down version of the Linux kernel with you know, their extra operating system built on top. IoT devices, things like your smart speakers, things like that, they're running on Linux, on the actual kernel. Embedded systems have got tiny little weeny versions of Linux built into them. Android, your mobile phone, Android is based on the Linux kernel. It's just a variation of Linux. It's absolutely everywhere. What people don't realise is the majority of data centres in the world and web hosting, things like that, it's all based on Linux. Why? Because Linux is lighter weight. It makes use of those resources far better because it doesn't have all the bump built into it that the likes of Windows does, and it is found in far more places than people realise. It's such a powerful kernel and operating system. It's phenomenal. And when I say Linux, and when I said it's like a catch-all term, really, Linux, because Linux actually refers to the kernel. So you've got a Windows kernel that Windows is based on, but you've also got the Linux kernel, and it's the core of the operating system. It's all the control part of it, and then your distributions or flavors are built on top of that kernel, yeah, to make the full operating system. I want to talk about flavors or distros or distributions, however you want to call it, however you hear it. The terms are all interchangeable. There are a number of them, and there's two major branches of Linux variations. You've got the Debian branch, and then you've got the Red Hat Linux branch. Debian in its own right is its own operating system. We'll have a quick squiz at their website shortly and show you that. And that's their main operating system, and you can go and download that and run it as your operating system. And then there's Ubuntu. Ubuntu's built on top of Debian. There, the open source company Canonical, they went Debian's fantastic bit of operating system, fantastic software. We're going to make it better. So they did. And then you got the likes of Linux Mint. Mint is actually based on top of Ubuntu. They took Ubuntu and went, we'll make that how we want it. And off they went. Kali Linux. Kali Linux is another Debian-based Linux operating system, but it differs slightly. It's the same desktop environment, but Kali Linux comes preloaded, pre-packed with a load of security and pen test tools. Yeah, so it's more designed to be an offensive security distribution. And PadOS have a security version which rivals Kali. It's fully loaded with pen test and offensive security tools. But when I say these desktop operating systems, what we'll see shortly is the likes of Ubuntu. They have their desktop operating system, but they also have a server version, which is a real stripped down version. It doesn't have a desktop environment, it doesn't have a GUI or anything like that. It's all command line based, and we'll have a look and a bit of a chat about that shortly coming up. Moving over to the Red Hat side, you've got Red Hat Linux. Red Hat is an enterprise software that is paid, so you pay to use Red Hat Linux, and a lot of companies who use Linux in their day-to-day operations will buy the Red Hat operating system. It's fully supported by Red Hat, so you're paying, partly for the software, but mainly for the support that comes with it. Fedora is again based on Red Hat, and they have free and paid versions. CentOS, you used to see it a lot for web hosting services. Always used to see in the old days, everything was built on CentOS when you were looking at web services. These days it's more Ubuntu. SUSE Linux is another Red Hat variant. They're more of a European based distribution. Haven't really made it big in the Americas for some reason. Who knows why. But again, they're based on Red Hat. There is a bit of recent troubles with Red Hat. Basically, what happened with Red Hat is they had a free license that they gave to people. You can have our core operating system and do what Ubuntu, Linux, and Linux Mint and everybody's done. Excuse me. And you can develop it how you like. They've now pulled that license, so the likes of SUSE and Oracle, I believe, are now struggling because they don't have that base to build on for the future. But that's a different story altogether. We're not here for that. Arch Linux, I've put kind of over on its own. It's a bit of a weird and wonderful one. It's not a particularly beginner friendly thing, and we'll have a quick squiz at their website and you'll see why. On the bottom of that list there I've put OS Boxes. OS Boxes is not a Linux distribution, it's purely a website. However, I've put it here because OS Boxes have created virtual machine versions of hundreds of versions of Linux, and you can just go onto their website, scroll down the list, pick one, download it, install it into your hypervisor, VirtualBox, VMware. But what? You don't have a hypervisor? What? Have you not been watching my videos? Seriously? Go back and have a look. Not just now. Watch the rest of this video first. But seriously, get yourself back in some of my earlier videos. I go through how to download or find, download, install, and use a hypervisor. I actually show you how to install some of these as well. So if you're here and you don't have an hypervisor installed just yet, shame on you. Shame. Anyway, moving on from the nonsense. But seriously, pop back through the videos if you don't have a hypervisor. It's easy. It's just a fantastic tool to use. It really is, and it's free. So we'll have a look at OS boxes and have a look at what they've got on offer, because it's a phenomenal resource. It really is. And the Linux Marmite. Distributions are like Marmite. Some people love some people love others. And you'll hear people saying, this is the Linux distribution you should be using. It's the best one. And yeah, it may be for them. And that's brilliant. That's their opinion, and they're quite entitled to it. Leave them alone. Don't give them any grief over it. That's just what they like. Some people like Marmite, some people hate it. Wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Wouldn't touch it with somebody else's barge pole, to be honest. But and again, I've put here, try different distributions. Don't just go, everybody's jumping up and down about Linux Mint. I must have Linux Mint. That's the only one to use. No. Have a look at Ubuntu. Have a look at Fedora. Some people swear by Fedora and they'll only use Fedora. Happy days. That's because they found something that they like and works for them. And the last point on this one is some are better for different tasks. So again, if you've got a server version, because you're just running server tasks or server software, you might want a DNS server, you might want a VPN server or something, you might pick, say, Ubuntu Server Edition, because it's really small, really tiny, it doesn't take up much resource, and it does what you want it to do. You might be a pen tester and you might want Kali Linux. Grant, that's not saying that you can't go to Ubuntu because you love Ubuntu, happy with Ubuntu. You can download all of the tools that are in Kali Linux onto Ubuntu and use Ubuntu instead. It's just the fact that Kali Linux, you install it and they're all there ready for you. You don't have to do anything apart from update the system now and again. So when it comes to distributions, don't necessarily take somebody on YouTube's suggestion of this is the best one out there. It's the best one out there for them and what they're doing with it. Yeah, you need to choose your own. Unfortunately, with things like Winx, how cool is that? Yeah, I've just come up with a new variant of Linux called Winx. Very soon we're going to have Lindos. Yeah, tongue-tied already. It is in the evening here in the UK and it's a bit warm. It's 24.5 degrees in my office. It's very warm. Not as warm as some other places. I feel sorry for people. I really do. Digressing. So Windows, you've got Windows Pro, you've got Windows Server versions, and you've got Windows 10, Windows 11. We're going to come on to things like Windows 10, Windows 11, and these types of variations. But Linux, there's far more. There's a plethora of them out there, distributions that you can choose from. So this is Linux Basics. And we are going to go through a lot of the basics of Linux and predominantly the command line, because the desktop operating system is just a desktop operating system. Yeah, there's not really that much to know about it. It's a desktop, the same as what you normally do with the likes of Windows or Mac. The command line is where the magic and the power happens. So as I've said, most of them can be used with the normal desktop operating environment. The server versions do not have that facility. And if you're in a desktop environment, you'll be using something like Terminal to access the command line, whereas the server versions just boot straight in, and you'll see that coming up. Command line, I did notice as I was running through this little presentation that I've put these in the wrong order. They're basically back to front the whole way. So I'll go from bottom to top. Got to mix it up a bit, haven't you? I'm not perfect by any stretch or means. Every action that you perform in, I've put GUI, but what I actually mean is the desktop environment. Every action that you perform on the desktop in reality, it's just a bunch of commands and arguments that happen in the background, similar to Windows and Mac. They do the same, but with Linux it's just far easier to see and do. So if you open up the say your downloads folder, you're going to double click on the downloads folder and it opens. Granted, it displays it on the screen, but that's just telling the Linux machine to run the command cd downloads. Cd is the change directory command, and you're changing the directory into downloads. And that's all you're doing. When you click the button to open up that folder, that's all you're doing. You're telling Linux to run a bunch of commands. Granted, there are some other commands that go along with that to launch the desktop window and how to display it and all that, but essentially it's just running that basic command. And when I say commands, we use on the command line commands and arguments. So what on earth are you talking about with these? You're going to have an argument with the command line? Yes, I've had many arguments with the command line. Why on earth won't you work? That's normally because I can't type or spell. Keyboard dyslexia for some reason. No idea why. So commands are like, let's say using a program. So let's say you want to update your system. Yeah, you want to run the update facility. So you would use a command that says use this program. So your command will be apt if you're on a Debian based system, or it'll be yum in Red Hat versions, but we'll go with Debian because that's predominantly what I use. You go apt. Your argument would be something along the lines of update or upgrade, or it could be the -y to say yes to all prompts that pop up. So you give it a command and an argument. And in the preceding videos, we're going to go through a lot of these commands and arguments on the command line from a basic perspective. We're not going to be like super duper command line experts by the end of it. However, I don't know where the book is. I have got a book somewhere on the Linux command line. It's like that thick. We're not going through that. These videos get long enough as it is. But the one thing that you really need to be super aware of when you're working with the command line, and these basic videos are basically going to be using the command line, you need to pay real close attention when you're entering commands and arguments, because they are case sensitive. You can give a command, and sometimes the command itself might not be case sensitive, but the arguments are. So an argument might be a -a, which will tell it to do something particular, and that -a will be a lowercase -a for that particular argument that you want. But if you put a capital A in, that's a completely different argument, or it could be, and vice versa. If you wanted a capital A but you put a lowercase a because you didn't hit the shift key properly, or caps lock was on or something, listen, you've got the wrong argument, and things can go awry, or they're not going to turn out as you expect. So you need to be really, really paying close attention when you're entering commands. So it's about time we took a look. We're going to go and have a look at some of the websites of some of these distributions. We're going to have a look at some of the distributions themselves. But whilst I'm bringing up the websites, because it's a few clicks of a button for me, so you can click a few buttons of your own if you like. Down where are they? Down there somewhere. Yeah, the little subscribe button, the bell icon, the thumbs up if you like it. If you don't click the thumbs down button. Just drop a comment in the comments and just say, be honest. Tell me. I don't mind. Helps me improve. That's what they're there for. Give some feedback. But anyway, moving on quickly. Let's go take a look at some stuff. So I've sneak peek, put it in the wrong thing. Why isn't that working? We'll come back to that. We're going to have a look at some of the websites now. In the description below, there's going to be a link to a text file, which is going to be this, and it is literally just some links to some websites, and these are the popular websites for the different distributions. So click the link, it'll download in this little tiny text file. It won't take long to download, kilobytes, and then you can go and explore on your own, so you don't have to worry about trying to write these things down. Click the link, it'll just download. It's a straight link, it's not hidden, there's nothing behind it. But the Debian website to start off with, a whole bunch of information, so you can go and have, a lot of these open source companies, they do a lot for charities and communities, so they're really good people, a lot of them. So I encourage you to have a look across some of these websites and have a look at what they do, what makes them tick. Have a look at their blogs and what they're doing for the planet and everything. It's they're really good guys, and you should go and have a look at. You're going to use their operating system for free. The least you can do is spend a little bit of time with them. And again, Debian is a completely free operating system, which most of them are. So you can go and click download and download Debian if you want to go and get it direct from their website. I'm going to get rid of these links because my system is really struggling at the moment. I've just noticed that my microphone is way over there. So the Ubuntu website from Canonical. We're going to spend a little short time on here because there's a lot to go through. So again, you've got all the information about them. Oh look, they're hiring. Loads of news. They've got a pro version that you can download that will probably cost you money for the support and everything. But there's loads of information that you're going to pick up loads of knowledge off these websites. But we're going to go, not that download button, because that's the VMware stuff. We're going to go up here to download, which brings you to the About Download page. Now, when I said there's different versions of the likes of Ubuntu, you've got the desktop version, you've got the server version, you've got an IoT version. I told you it was in IoT. It's everywhere. There's a Raspberry Pi version, so you can download it for your Raspberry Pi, slap it on there, you've got a full-blown computer that fits in your pocket. And you can take it anywhere. You've got a keyboard, mouse and power supply and monitor. And sometimes you don't even need a monitor or a keyboard and mouse. But digressing, so there's loads of different things that you can download it for. The server version, the most popular server Linux in the cloud and data center, and you can rely on Ubuntu Server, and it's 5 years of guarantee free upgrades. We'll have a little chat about that in a second. But they're right, Ubuntu Server version is everywhere. Everything's running on it. One, it's free. It's open source, so if there's something you don't like and you've got the people who know how to do it, you could have a tinker. But let's go and have a quick look at it. We'll go through this in a second. So the server version, guaranteed till April 2027. Now this is the version that boots to just the command line, and we'll have a quick look in a few seconds. So there's no desktop environment to this, it's the server version. And again, it's long-term support. We'll have a look at releases when we look at the desktop version. Where am I going? Oh, the liveness of it. Here we go. My mind was elsewhere. So Ubuntu does, and a lot of the distribution providers, they release a version, right? They'll have a version, and in this case 2204.3, and that'll be their long-term support version, the LTS version, and this is the one that's guaranteed security and maintenance updates free until April 2027. So this is their main thing. It tells you all about it, what you need to run it on. And this won't change. Apart from the security and maintenance updates, that won't change. So consider this to be like Windows 10, although Windows 10 is coming to end of service shortly, in a few years, same as Ubuntu. But with Windows 10, they release feature updates. Yeah, feature updates. And the trouble is some of those feature updates change how the Windows operates. And if you're running precision equipment on it, if you've got certain software that runs in a certain configuration, that feature release could totally screw that up. Yeah. So Ubuntu keep this base version, say this Windows 10 equivalent. They don't touch it. Apart from the security and maintenance, they don't touch it. Yeah, it stays as it is. If you want a feature update, you go down to their recent feature. Now this only has guaranteed support till January 2024, so it's only 5 or 6 months away at the time of recording. Excuse me. So this is how you get your features. And what they'll do is they'll use these feature updates, and they'll release 2 or 3 in the year, and it'll be new features that you'll have a look at, play with. Some of them they'll keep for the next, and they'll be incorporated into the next feature update because they're good and they work and everybody likes them. If there's something that's in there that's totally junk and nobody likes it, and like, why on earth did you bother with that, they can take that out. It's not affecting their base 2204.31. Doesn't affect that because it's not built into that. Yeah, and they'll release these, and then when it comes to their next final version that they're going to release, say the likes of Windows 11, then the features that they've released in these other versions can be incorporated. The ones that work anyway can be incorporated in it. And you're probably wondering what these silly little pictures are. These are their desktop pictures, and they're all named after animals. This is Jammy Jellyfish. That's not my name for it. I didn't come up with it. Seriously. I think it was before it they had Focal Fossa. Then they had Kinetic Kudu. And this one is Lunar Lobster. So they're lovely little names for them. So you might say, oh, what Linux are you on? Oh, I'm on Lobster. Anyhow, so this is Ubuntu, and this is the full desktop version with the thing. Anyway, I've spent quite a bit on Ubuntu. Let's get rid of that. Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu, so you've got Debian, then Ubuntu messed with it, and now Linux Mint have messed with it on top. And Linux Mint is okay. I still prefer Ubuntu because that's my preference, and I'm entitled to my opinions. I've had a look at Mint. I've got Mint in a VM just to see what it's like, and it just looks slightly different. And that's the thing with a lot of these versions or variations of Linux, is a lot of it is just the looks. But if we go into download, you can see there's a Cinnamon edition, a Mate edition, and an XFCE edition, and a whole load of bump about it. And again, when you look at it, there's new features in these feature releases. The desktop looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? Apart from the menus look different. You just pick one that, this one's using the GNOME 2, GNOME, however you say it, nobody knows. I call it GNOME, just because it sounds different. Yeah, so it's basically the looks of it that change, really. They might have some extra features built in, but I've never found any because I don't play with it that much. But there's Linux. Kali, when you come to the Kali website, there's loads of information. And the coolest thing that Kali do is you can stick it on your phone. If you've got an old mobile that you're not using anymore, wipe it and download Kali Net Hunter. It's cool. David Bumble. If you search David Bumble on Bumble, I'm sure it's Bumble. Sorry, David, if I got your name wrong. But David Bumble does a cool video on how to download and install Kali NetHunter on your mobile phone. So after this video, you can go and have a squiz at that. But Kali, again, is full of all these security tools. Yeah, John the Ripper, Maltego, Metasploit, Nmap, Responder, SQL Map, Wireshark. It's tons of stuff in here. Yeah, it's great. And again, there's not really. I say there isn't versions because there's the NetHunter version for your mobile phone. There's the new Kali Purple, which is more designed to the blue side of cybersecurity rather than the offensive side, and it doesn't have a lot of the offensive tools built into it, as I found out. I thought it was going to be the best of both worlds, but maybe not. But again, you can get virtual machine versions for the ARM infrastructure. You can get a live boot USB. I've got a thing on installing Kali, a video on installing Kali, so go and have a squiz at that if you haven't already got it. Loads of stuff on here. Parrot, let's get through these. Oh, time's ticking on. Parrot, again, there's loads of bump on here. They do a lot with Hack the Box. So if you're looking at getting some cybersecurity training, get over onto Hack the Box. I need to get onto Hack the Box, I really do. Loads of stuff. When you go to the downloads, you'll see they've got a Raspberry Pi version, and I've run it on Raspberry Pi and it works fine. I did have the 8 gig version 4B to run it on, but it works fine. Parrot OS with nothing pre-installed. You just install any desktop environment, any software. You do what you want. You build it from scratch. Yeah, Cloud Edition. The special editions of Parrot Security made for embedded devices, cloud environments, and virtual machines. So you can get it in a Docker image, or the Architect edition. Hack the Box. You can go and download their Hack the Box version and hack it. The Home Edition is basically their version without all the pen test tools built into it. So it's more of a a proper desktop computer that your kids could use without breaking into your bank account and next door and that. And then you've got the Security Edition, which is the one that's packed full of all the pen test and red team tools. Yeah, it's again, it rivals Kali. It's a great. I find Kali slightly slicker, but again, it's personal preference. You choose. Some people swear by Parrot. Kali, I use Parrot. It's personal choice. Whatever works for you. Red Hat. Naughty Red Hat. Shame. How'd you do it? Is that thing? Shame? I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, that's the Enterprise edition. If you're using that in business, then you're probably using the Red Hat Enterprise paid version of Linux. And when I said Arch Linux was over on the side on its own, why is this? Oh, maybe because I've done that. I've copied the whole line, not the Bing Arch Linux. When I said you look at the website and see what I mean, there's a bit to Arch Linux. It doesn't look beginner user friendly, does it? That's no disrespect to Arch Linux. I've heard a lot of people who use it. I haven't. Well, I say I haven't. I did download it and went, what's this? And swiftly deleted it because it wasn't my thing. But it's just not my cup of tea. But it does. It's a bit more involved, shall we say? Yeah. But the big one. And again, I copied the whole line. I just copied them off the text file, as you will do when you click the link below. Unfortunately, I've still got Bing as the default search. Anywho, OS boxes, the coolest place on the planet. VM images. So they do VM images for VirtualBox and VMware. We'll have a look at the VirtualBox because it's on the top. FreeBSD based, Fedora based, Fedora, Debian. You know, when you scroll down Android x86, you can download and install a virtual machine of Android. Cool. Arch Linux, if you want to go and play it, it's already there in a pre-built VM. And I might do, to be honest. It's a great way of getting it and playing with it. When you go down, CentOS, Debian, Fedora, FreeBSD. There's a load in here that I've never heard of before. Diet Pie. There's no sugar on the top. Jeff pastry with no sugar in. Anyway, Kali Linux, go and get the VM. Yeah. Ubuntu. Bizarre. Linux Mint. Yeah, there's just look at the list. Raspbian, go and download it, bang it on. TrueNAS. TrueNAS is a... My mind's gone blank. It's a NAS software, network attached storage software. It's 11:30 at night. Where's the dog? Oh, the dog's curled up on the sofa probably. Ubuntu Server, Ubuntu Mate. It's probably Ubuntu with the Linux Mate variant. Sparkly Linux. Oh, I'll try that one day. But anyway, waffling on, there's a whole load of VMs here that you can pick, download, try, throw away, or keep if you like. It's fantastic. But let's go and have a look at some. Rich, what on earth is that black box in the middle of your screen? This is Ubuntu Server Edition. There's no desktop here, guys. This is all command line. Yeah, baby. I press tab. Password. You will notice that the mouse doesn't, the cursor doesn't move when you type in a password. That's called security, everybody. No asterisks. It just doesn't show anything at all, so you can't tell how long somebody's password is. Notice that, Windows, Microsoft. Not that I'm starting to really like Linux or anything, but look, I've just logged in, and you get hello, welcome to Ubuntu, and all the bump, and that's pretty much it. Everything is now command line. If I want to change my directory, so I want to go into another directory or something, I just go into it. Change directory with a CD command, and I'm in. I did this earlier. I had to scrap my last video because my processor went haywire with I had so many screens open it killed the processor. So my video went all skew with and everything, so I killed it. But I did something earlier, and I noticed what I did. I typed it in. I did this. The command to create a file with nothing in it is touch, or if you touch a file that's already exists, it'll just update the date and timestamp on it. But when I was talking before on the other video, I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah, this has got nothing in it, but let's put some. This folder's got nothing in it. Let's put something in it. So the command was touch something. I don't know why. It just tickled me. It really did. Just touch something. And when you ls is the list command, so it lists the contents of the folder that you're in. Now there's something in it. And you know, if you go and right click on a file and go down the menu and hit delete, I've just deleted something. I've created something, I've deleted something. There you go, there's your command line basics. Thanks for watching, say good night. We're being silly because it's coming up to midnight. But this is all command line. Yeah, there's no... my mouse is here. Mouse does nothing in this window. It's completely throw it out the window. Good job, it's wireless. Gone. No need for it. And every action you take is a command. So, just as I was saying, this is a really you're getting a sneak peek here now. This is free info before the next classes, the next videos rather. They're not classes, they're not lectures, they're nothing. They're just me waffling junk. But let me just explain what's going on here. Sudo is a command, but I'm telling it to use administrator privileges. Basically, we'll go into sudo later on. My main command is shutdown, so I'm telling it to shut down the machine. My argument is now. Yeah, if I just hit shutdown on its own, it'll shut down in about 60 seconds. But I'm telling it to shut down now. So shutdown is my main command. Now is my argument. It'll ask me a password because I'm elevating my privileges. And there you go. Gone. Gone. So we'll just fire up a jammy. Let's just see. No. That's probably because I fiddled about with it. Well, it's got 4 mega RAM. Okay. I should have used the other one with less, but hey ho. Fingers crossed for the video. Ubuntu, you've probably seen this on previous videos, but we'll launch it. I've waffled far too long. Desktop environment. My machine is starting to creak. Oh yeah, it's starting to creak. Let's get rid of you. That's me getting rid of stuff in the background because this is going to kill me processor. Video's going to be shot. And we're into Jammy Jellyfish. Jammy Jellyfish, full DOS desktop environment. Looks exactly like it would for any. Well, I say exactly like. Obviously, it looks different, but it's got the same functionality. There's your home folder for files. Things are a bit slow because this is a virtual machine running on my machine, and I've got all my recording software on it and everything. So it's fingers crossed it holds out. But you got all your files, yeah, documents, downloads, music, pictures. You don't have these in the server version because you don't have a desktop environment, so you don't need the desktop folders. But you've got your Firefox, you've got LibreOffice. So with Linux, you can't download and install Microsoft Office. Because they don't want it, but you can go onto the website and use their online Office tools, so you can use Office in the cloud, Excel in the cloud, or if you had it as a bare metal machine, you could install a hypervisor, because now you know how to install a hypervisor and install a version of Windows. Use Windows inside the Linux. That's dead funny. It's funny doing that. But you've got your web browser. You've got games, you've got Solitaire, you've got Mines, you've got Ramina. I think that's how you say it, Ramina. That's your remote desktop software. You've got a camera, you've got your music player, you've got a photo software, your Libre Calc for your Excel, Impress, which is your PowerPoint publisher, one of them. Your video player. It's not that different from Thunderbird is a mail client. You can change some of these. I've put Chromium on here. Chromium is the base web browser that Chrome's built on. Edge is built on Chromium. Brave is built on Chromium. It's a bit like the Linux kernel, really, isn't it? I've installed that because sometimes it's better than Firefox for what I'm doing at the time. But you know, it's a fully fledged desktop. So you know, you can do, you know, you right click, change the background. Do you want to change a picture of your background? It's exactly the same as using any other desktop. Oh, let's go grey. Meh. Anywho, so there's your desktop environment. I have got others, but the video's cracking on. So here we go. We'll do sudo shutdown, power off, and it'll say this is now my argument. It's going to shut down in 60 seconds. The power off button in this here is now me. This is now me now argument, and down it goes. The one thing I will say, just because we got, I'd say I've got some of these here. I've got Kinetic Kudo, I've got Kali Purple, I've got Linux Mint Cinnamon, I've got Linux Mint Mate. Oh, tongue tying twisted things. Raspberry Pi and a VM on my computer. CentOS, Parrot Security, I've got them here. I'm not going to show them because we'll be here till next Christmas. But what I will say is when you have VirtualBox open, you can't do it in VMware Player. You can in VMware Workstation, but not in the Player version. Snapshots are everything. Yeah, you click on the snapshots, get your machine set up and running. Shut it down. You can take it whilst it's live, but I prefer to do it when it's shut down. Take a snapshot, fire it back up, then you can play to your heart's content. If you break something, oh no, just kill it dead, come back to here, find your snapshot, right click, restore, and it goes back to, and it's as if it never ever happened. Snapshots are key to virtual machines. But that's it, guys. That's an introduction to Linux. As I say, in the upcoming videos we're going to go through command line tasks, looking at playing with files, text editors, all the cool stuff that you can do on the command line. We're not going to get too cool because, you know, I'm not the coolest of people, so we're not going to go super cool, and we'll go through and get some good stuff going. So if you do find these videos useful, helpful, insightful, if they're of any use to you whatsoever, then give me a thumbs up on the things below, because it helps know that what I'm doing is good. Chuck a comment in. If it's junk and you don't like it, or you think, Rich, you need to shut the hell up and get off YouTube, drop me a comment. I don't mind. Honesty's honesty. Otherwise I'll just carry on waffling. So yeah, subscribe so you don't miss out, and hit the notification thing so you don't miss out on the upcoming videos with all the command line basics. I'm still going to get a load of videos going in the So You Want to Learn Cyber series. Well, I think we're moving into scanning, like enumeration on that, doing some little basic scanning on that. So that'll be cool. Stay tuned. In the meantime, I appreciate your time. I hope this has been sort of some use for you. I've really enjoyed going through it. I enjoy playing with Linux all day, every day. Have a laugh. Download that file to get the text file to get the links, and go off and play. Check out some previous videos on how to install a hypervisor. There's no excuses. Crack on, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.